Hi! Today I've gathered for you the 4 creepiest stories from the internet that will give you chills. Let's go!
I woke up last night to the sound of my front door unlocking. The problem is, I live alone. At first, I froze in bed, listening. No footsteps, no creaking floorboards, just the faint metallic click of the lock sliding back. I told myself maybe I'd imagined it. Maybe the building's old pipes or the wind. But then I heard the door slowly swing open. I grabbed the baseball bat I keep by my bed and crept into the hallway. The door was wide open, letting in the cold night air, but no one was there. Just the empty, dimly lit corridor outside my apartment. My heart was pounding so loud I swore whoever was there could hear it. I shut the door, locked it again, and pressed my ear against the wood. Silence. I barely slept after that, but when I finally dragged myself out of bed this morning, something was different. On the inside of my front door, written in small, shaky letters, were the words, "Let us in." I swear it wasn't there last night. I called the landlord thinking maybe it was some sick prank by a neighbor. He sounded annoyed, swore no one else had a key, and told me not to bother him again unless something was actually broken. The day went by in a blur of paranoia. Every sound in the building felt amplified. The hum of the elevator, the distant slam of doors, muffled voices. But by evening, I convinced myself it was a one-off. I was just tired. That night, I triple-checked the locks before bed, propped a chair under the doorknob, even shoved my dresser halfway across the room to block it. At 3:12 a.m., I woke up again, this time to knocking. 3 sharp raps, slow and deliberate, from inside my closet. I froze. My bat was across the room, useless to me now. The knocking stopped, replaced by a soft scratching sound, like fingernails dragging across wood. And then a whisper. "Are you awake?" I wanted to scream, but my throat locked up. I forced myself to stumble out of bed, heart hammering, and ripped the closet door open. Empty, just clothes and shoes, but at the very back, scratched into the wooden wall, were the same words. "Let us in!" I didn't sleep at all after that. The next day, I packed a bag and went to stay with my friend Mark. He laughed at me when I told him, said it was probably some hypnagogic hallucination or stress. But I saw his face pale when I showed him the photos of the writing. We stayed up together that night, just to prove nothing would happen. At 3:07 a.m., his phone buzzed. A text. It was from my number. The message just said, "Let us out." His face drained of color. We checked my phone. Nothing had been sent. No history of the text at all. That's when the lights flickered. The air grew heavy, suffocating like being underwater. From the corner of the room, we heard a chorus of whispers, dozens of voices overlapping, some laughing, some crying. Mark grabbed my arm. "We need to get out." But before we could move, my closet door, yes, the one in his apartment, slammed open. And we both heard it. A child's voice, clear as day. "Don't leave us again." The room went dark. I don't remember what happened after. I woke up on the floor at sunrise, alone. Mark was gone. His apartment was empty. His phone, wallet, everything, still there. But no trace of him. Now I'm writing this from a motel outside town. My closet door here has no lock. I shoved a chair against it anyway. And just now, as I type this, I swear I heard it creak open. What would you do if this was happening to you? Would you stay and try to fight whatever this is? Or run and never look back?
I woke up strapped to a hospital bed on the 6th floor of St. Mary's. That's the first thing you need to understand. I wasn't supposed to be there. I came in for a fainting episode, nothing serious. I remembered the ER, a nurse taking my vitals, someone telling me to rest. But when I opened my eyes again, I wasn't in the ER. I was in a room that smelled of mold, with walls stained brown and restraints digging into my wrists. I screamed for help. No one came. The fluorescent light above me flickered like it was about to die. The silence was heavy, broken only by the slow creak of something moving outside my door. Then I heard it. Children laughing. At first, it was faint, like echoes in a playground, but it grew louder, closer, until it was right outside. My door handle rattled. I tried to pull free, but the straps only cut deeper into my skin. Tears blurred my vision. The door opened. No nurse, no doctor, just a girl in a patient gown, maybe 8 years old, hair covering her face. She stepped inside barefoot, leaving wet, dark footprints on the floor. "Help me," I whispered. Her head twitched, too sharp like a broken puppet. Then she giggled. The sound was wrong, high-pitched, echoing from the walls. Suddenly, the restraints loosened on their own. I scrambled out of bed, nearly falling. The girl just stood there, tilting her head like she was studying me. I pushed past her and ran. The hallway was endless. The ceiling lights buzzed, casting everything in a sickly yellow glow. Every door I passed had a number, but the sequence made no sense. 609, 999, 702, 614. My breath hitched. I remembered the whispers I'd heard nurses gossip about. Room 614. Don't ever go inside, but I heard voices behind me now. Dozens. Children crying, nurses begging, men groaning. They were following me. I tried the stairwell. It was chained shut. I hammered the door until my hands bled, but it wouldn't budge. That's when I felt breath on my neck. I spun around. The hallway was empty, but the air was freezing. Then, one by one, doors creaked open. Thin, pale hands reached out from the darkness inside each room. Dozens of them. I bolted the other way, heart in my throat. The girl was waiting for me at the end of the hall. Same gown, same wet footprints. Only this time, there were more. Behind her, a crowd of children filled the corridor, eyes black, mouths wide, whispering in unison. "Stay with us." I pressed myself against the wall, shaking. My mind screamed, "Wake up, wake up, wake up." Then everything went black. When I opened my eyes again, I was in the ER. Nurses surrounded me, looking frantic. One was shouting, "She just flatlined for a minute." They told me I'd fainted, that I'd been unconscious for only a few seconds, but I know what I saw. And last night, when I finally got home, I noticed something. My socks were damp. And when I checked the floor, there were faint, wet footprints leading from my bed to the door.
I swear to God, if I hadn't recorded what happened, even I wouldn't believe it myself. It started about 3 weeks ago, when I moved into this old rental house on the edge of town. It wasn't special, just a 2-bedroom place with peeling wallpaper and creaky floors, but the rent was dirt cheap and I needed to save money. The landlord told me the house had been empty for years. He never said why. The first night I noticed something strange. Around 3 a.m. I heard knocking. Not from the door, not from the windows, from inside the walls. 3 dull thuds. Then silence. I convinced myself it was the pipes or the wood shifting with the cold. Old houses make noise, right? But the next night the knocking came again. Same time, same number of knocks. By the 3rd night I couldn't sleep. I sat in the living room, lights on, waiting for it. When the clock hit 3:02, I heard it. This time it was louder and closer, like someone knocking on the wall directly behind the couch. I jumped up and pressed my ear to the plaster. Nothing. No voices, just the faint smell of mildew. That's when I realised something. The knocking wasn't random, it was a pattern. 3 knocks, pause. 3 knocks again, like someone trying to get my attention. I told myself I was being paranoid. Sleep deprivation, stress, moving into a creepy house. It all adds up. So I made a stupid decision. I knocked back 3 times. The silence that followed was so heavy it felt like the air had been sucked out of the room. I was about to laugh at myself for being ridiculous when I heard it. 3 knocks. In response, I barely slept that night. The next day, I mentioned it to my neighbour, an older woman named Carol. She gave me a look like I'd just confessed to a crime. "You don't knock back," she said. "You hear something in this house, you leave it alone." When I pressed her, she shook her head. "Some doors you don't want to open?" That was all she would say. That night, I didn't knock back. I stayed in bed, covers over my head, listening. The knocking came. Louder this time, closer, then scratching like nails dragging down the inside of the wall. I swear to God I could hear whispering too, low voices just beneath the sound of the scratching, too faint to make out. But I caught one word, over and over, open. The following morning, I decided to do something stupid. I pulled the couch away from the wall where the knocks came from. The wallpaper there was peeling worse than the rest of the house, curling at the edges like dead skin. Behind it, I found something that made my stomach turn. A door. Not a normal door, more like a narrow crawl space opening, sealed shut with nails and a padlock so rusted it crumbled when I touched it. Someone had painted over it, wallpapered it, done everything they could to hide it. And I had just uncovered it. That night, the knocking was violent. The whole wall shook with every hit, dust raining down from the ceiling. I sat across the room, too terrified to move, my phone in hand recording everything. At 3:12 a.m., it stopped. Silence. Then slowly the padlock clattered to the floor by itself. I didn't go near it, I didn't breathe, I just sat there, heart hammering, waiting for the door to swing open. It didn't. But the whispering came back. Louder now, dozens of voices layered on top of each other. Some begging, some laughing, some angry. All of them saying the same thing. Open the door. The next morning, I called the landlord and demanded answers. He sighed like he'd been through this before. "Look, you're not the first tenant to complain," he said. "But I'll give you the same advice I gave them. Leave it shut. Whatever's back there, it's not meant to be let out." Then he hung up. I should have moved out. I should have packed my bags and never looked back. But something in me, curiosity, stubbornness, maybe even the whispers themselves, kept me there. That night, I set up my phone on a tripod facing the door. I wanted proof. If I was going crazy, I needed to know. At 3 a.m., the knocking began. My phone recorded everything, the padlock hitting the floor again, the whispers rising like a storm, and then the door slowly creaking open, just a few inches, just enough to see inside. Darkness, but in that darkness, eyes. Dozens of them glinting like animal eyes in headlights. And a hand, pale, thin, clawed fingers reaching through the gap.
The video cut off after that. My phone crashed, and when I tried to replay it, the file was corrupted. But I know what I saw. I felt the air shift in the room, colder than ice, pressing against my skin like invisible hands. I didn't sleep. I sat with my back against the far wall, staring at that cracked door until morning. When the sun finally rose, the door was shut again. The lock back in place like nothing had happened. But the scratches on the floor, the claw marks reaching into the living room, those were real. Last night was the worst. The knocking didn't come from the walls. It came from inside my bedroom closet. 3 knocks. Pause. 3 knocks again. And this time, when I pressed record on my phone, the voices didn't whisper. They screamed over and over. "Open the door!" I'm writing this from my car. I left the house at sunrise and swore never to go back. But as I type this, I keep glancing at the back seat, because just now I heard it again. 3 knocks right behind me.
I still don't understand how I survived that night. If you ever find yourself in a situation like mine, just run. Run without looking back, because what I saw makes no sense. It started last fall. I live in a small town where nothing ever happens except for a place locals call the Old Forest. People avoid it. They whisper about disappearances and shadows that watch. I never believed them until that night. I had to walk home through the forest after work because all buses were canceled. It was dark, and a thin fog curled between the trees. At first, everything seemed normal. The wind, an owl somewhere. But then I felt it. Someone. Behind me. Footsteps that didn't match mine. Slow and heavy. I sped up. The steps followed, mirroring mine, then matching them exactly. I turned. Nothing. Just fog. My heart raced. Then I heard it. A faint whisper. My name, right behind me. I ran. Running through fog is like running through water. Every breath was a struggle. After what felt like forever, I reached the forest road. Calm. I thought it was over, but then I saw it. Someone or something standing in my upstairs window. I live alone. The window was closed. The figure moved slowly, observing. It wasn't human. 2 long arms, movements too fluid. I checked the house. Nothing. I thought I was losing it. Then, that evening, I found a package on my doorstep. Inside, a Polaroid of me in the forest. On the back, "You're following the right path." Night after night, I noticed small things. Doors slightly open, shadows in hallways, faint footsteps in the attic. One night in the attic, I found another photo. Me, sitting in a chair, staring at the camera. A note. Closer. I set up cameras. That's when I saw it. Black, almost invisible. Long, liquid-like arms gliding along walls, vanishing, reappearing elsewhere. It didn't open doors. It just watched. The worst part, I started seeing it everywhere. Reflections, fog, dark corners. Every attempt to approach it failed. Only whispers remained. "You're next." I moved to a new city. It didn't help. Yesterday I woke to a photo on my desk. Face. Mine. On the back. "We are close. I don't know who or what this is. It knows everything about me. I can't hide." Every night, footsteps, whispers. Sometimes I think it's already next to me, waiting for me to Nikar sleep. I'm writing this so someone knows I tried to warn them. Don't ignore the forest, the town, or the night. Shadows choose, and I'm afraid I'm next. If you ever hear footsteps in fog or see a figure in a window, don't look, just run. Pray it doesn't choose you. Sometimes I feel it's already here, maybe reading this now.